Okay, maybe I'll do it like once in a while instead of every
You
time.
you realized you could make a little bit less money, and that makes things not so awesome anymore. I can see that.
Well, it's not about less money. It's the fact that it also runs like chance that maybe someone takes like, oh, copyright strikes to your channel and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
I hate that.
oh, Red Bandit's in chat now, dude. Where were you earlier, man? I was looking forward to seeing you play today.
Oh, he's there
What?
now?
What?
Oh,
What do we
wow.
do? Is it counter shout out? Like shame, shame for being late, Red Bandit. No, I'm just calling him up for no reason. All right, guys, we're in the grand finals of the Starbow Ladder Cup #2. It's currently almost over, though. rsvp's got to bring it back. Down 1-2 at the moment, spawning on the left side. Lower, it's going to be the Red Protoss player, rsvp.
And they are exchanging the friendly good luck, have fun. And in the, I guess, the 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock position, the right side of the map, we have the pink, sticking with pink, it's Zerg player Deathblood.
So this is a 4-player spawn map, guys, and Python's one of the newer ones, just like Andromeda in the Starbow Ladder pool, which is kind of cool, but this Overlord going up here, it looks a little bit awkward, but the probe is going for the same base, because again, you can spawn in any of these 4 locations.
Actually, the first time I uploaded this map, you see the pathway between 2 close bases? We didn't pass that one up by mistake. That was actually my fault. So you could have Zerglings running through right between bases
Oh,
if you spawn close.
I see what you're talking about here and here. That'd be so terrible, man. That's like the worst. That's the worst of the worst, is what that is.
It is. It was actually my fault too. So, but I'd fixed that ASAP though, so it's fine now.
I hope you're tabbed out and looking at Twitch chat right now, by the way.
I'm probably gonna be BM now. Yeah.
You're getting gray faced on pretty hard.
Oh, Deathblood is gonna circumvent that probe to sneak out the hatchery so he can't block it. I love you, Deathblood. This is so pimp. Awesome. No pylon going down there today. I won't BM rsvp now, I promise. So, but he still went for the pull first though.
I love that we have these engagements in previous games, by the way. And it's just kind of like, whatever, that went well. But it's like, oh my god, the probe, the drone, the hydra, or the hatchery went down, uncontested. Like, that's what gets you hyped.
You talking about me?
Man. Yeah, I'm talking about you.
Yes, that's. Oh, I was not hyped enough for the big battles, huh?
No, but it's the hatcheries that get you, man. I guess
yes.
We all have our secret fetishes. I don't know what you want to call it, but one thing that's worth noting, guys, all jokes aside, the probe's been left alive for rsvp. I mean, it's gonna be chased out now, or if not killed, but I mean, this was a probe that should have been chased off, or not chased off, but should have been getting a little more done. I don't like that he left it idle, because if he had hit it over here on, say, the left side of the base, Deathblood would never have seen it. He could have come back in and scouted, and he would have had a free scout on whatever the tech path would have been. But now being driven back home, rsvp is going to be forced to play a little bit blind.
I thought he was actually going for full wall off there for a second, but there is actually a gap there in rsvp walls. He just snuck out another probe, and it's been the flavor of the day, sneaking out those probes to get another scout in. But he's lost twice to hydro busting now, so he really wants to make sure that's not incoming, and I can completely understand that. First game though, he was really close at defending it though, and it seemed like he was doing just fine with those stalkers, but then the second wave came and hit him really hard.
And the Hydra stand en route, not at all uncommon. Again, Hydras, it doesn't even matter if you're going to go for a bust and all in, or whether you're just getting them generally. Ranged units are good, period. And if you've got them versus Zealots, which is usually going to be the case, you're going to have a pretty good time dealing with whatever rsvp can throw at you in the early game. And this kind of also shuts down the early Stargate type aggression, but as you pointed out, what I'd really love to see, because rsvp is the guy who would go for this, get some Corsairs out, try some Disruption Webs, mix it up a little bit, but of course all of that's easier said than done.
Yeah, it's very difficult versus Hydra Bust. It's very that is a very good strategy if the Zerg goes for 3 bases early on, but versus a 2-base Hydra, that's just impossible. And the D-Web is a fleet beacon upgrade, so you're not going to have that early out in time anyways.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant like when you were talking about earlier that you just like innately given it to the Corsairs.
No, it's an upgrade, but it's there now. It wasn't there before. They didn't have any abilities. Oh, he's going to lose this Zealot. Nice micro from Deathblood with the Zerglings there.
Honestly, good micro from both sides. rsvp was also trying to dodge that too, so just in the end, 4 Zerglings ended up being better than 1 Zealot, which is odd to see, to say the least. But we got the Twilight Council finishing up. He's going to have charge really fast this time, which is key. But the thing I'm kind of worried about is, like, this is the same story we see out of every match so far, where +1's on the way, charge is going to be delayed, Hydralisk will already be at his doorstep.
We're actually definitely looking into the Photon Cannon fire rate, just because this seems to be a very common problem among Protoss players, not being able to counter the Hydra correctly, even if they have been scouted. Because the photon cannons actually fire incredibly slow compared to the brood war cannons because we have the chrono boost, and you might just be we might have overdone it in that regard. So we're looking into bringing up the fire rate a little bit again.
More than fire, I think it would be the range that's the biggest issue, because the Hydras can hit and run the cannons.
That's true. They do get a... Actually, they have 7 range, though. So does the... Hydras only have 4, so... But yeah.
Right, but it's about getting in it. Well, anyways, that's beside the point for now. We got the Hydras trying to chip away at this pylon for free right now. The extra cannons will buy him time, and I guess that's the one thing for rsvp he's not really had. Like, he's had +1 on the way every time, he's had Zealots with charge every time, but it's always been like one of those things where it's a little too late. The investment in the cannons is costly, sure, but if it keeps him alive to play in the mid-game, then all of a sudden he's in a better spot.
And he really needs to be careful about moving those Zealots out. He needs to have a critical amount of +1 Zealots, and they need to have speed before he tries to move out and engage Hydralisks. That's the only way he can do this. If he loses like initial Zealots, and he never gets that critical amount, he can just never push out of his base, really.
Well, I'm just sitting here like, is he going to get that +1? Because it seems to be, even if he gets it, it doesn't really matter in the end.
But we have the range upgrade for Hydras. We're going to come right now, and as soon as that's done, he should start chipping away at the gateway and the Forge, because the Forge is a little bit more protected, I feel, now in this than it has been earlier with the cannons. It's nicely tucked into that little pocket there, but the gateway is definitely going to fall.
Well, still got the charge. There's not a lot of links to buffer for this time, though. So unlike last game, guys, we're not going to see the Hydras get as much free damage, I would think, against the Zealots. Because, again, the biggest thing that kept them back was there was, like, what, 10, 12 Zerglings with the Hydralisk? This time it's only 3? So they don't really have that buffer for them. But, oh my god, behind this, it's not the Hydras, it's not the Zerglings, it's the Spire that's coming. It's going to be so problematic.
In the meantime, though, rsvp is going to get out a couple of DTs. There is an Overseer, though, so I don't know how effective that will be, but if he can sneak it out, he might be able to do a lot of damage like we saw versus Balthasar. Or was it Balthasar? I think it was.
Well, the key thing about the DTs, too, is like being able to make Archons is always going to be key, especially because Mutalisks are on the way. I mean, Storm is kind of cool, but you can never rely on Storm for Mutalisks. It's going to be decent at blanking the Hydralisk, but the reality is, I think, bottom line, he's going to need some Archons.
Here comes the Dark Templar. He's going to sneak it out. He's not going to try and engage anything. And now he attacks the Forge, but it's too late. The +1 is already out. And I'm very excited to see how much damage this Dark Templar can do. This Dark Templar can really win him the game if he gets a decent amount of damage out.
Yeah, it was rsvp earlier who got like 18 workers killed behind enemy lines while we were focusing on the fights. And if he can force like the Hydras to be... If he sends the Dark Templar to the mineral lines and engages with the Zealots, either A, Deathblood's got the craziest APM in the world and wins both fights, or he has to sacrifice Hydralisk for drones. Either way, the Dark Templar's arriving around now, and if he's going to fight this army inside of his base, now is the time to do it. It will... he's going to be distracted dealing with this. There's no Overseer at home. Oh my god, there's actually no detection.
He's waiting for Storm, though, to be able to fight this, but now he's coming home with the army, and this is really good for rsvp. So Deathblood doesn't notice the Dark Templar and mass drone transfer ways away from this. Wow, this is incredible. And he spots the Mutalisks too, which is going to be key.
I actually like that he chose to keep the Dark Templar alive too. He could have chased down the drones and maybe gotten 1 or 2 more kills, but keeping this alive means he can go back for round 2 later.
I agree, that's definitely the right decision to make there. And a lot of people just see those juicy drones and just want to go for them right away. And we got Stalkers now incoming. He saw the Mutalisks, that's what they're called. So he's going to try and drive this Overseer probably out of his base as well. 2 Stalkers are not going to cut it. How many Mutalisks do we have now? 10?
Well, he's producing 4 at a time, so I mean, he's going to eventually have enough. And let's not forget, even if it doesn't hit all of them, I mean, Storm still does initial damage, so it's a huge AoE on top of units that clump crazy big. He's got 4 cannons up. He needs to lead these towards the cannons, not towards the mineral lines.
It's got 1 cannon there as well, though, but that's going to go down really fast, even though with the Chrono Boost on it.
Where's the Templar? He's got to get a Storm off here. See, the Storm is on probes, though. If he storms right now, is really problematic, but... oh, God. A necessary sacrifice? Question mark?
That didn't do too much, but we got an Archon now, and if he can catch the Mutalisks off guard, they can do a lot of damage with the Archon.
He's trying to split, but the Archon's doing tons of damage. While this is going on, we got counterattacks setting up. Tons of Zealots running across the map. It looks like he will clean up these Mutalisks. They're going to get the Archon, but, I mean, now it's only 2 Mutalisks. These are done for. He's safe, and back at home, drones transferring back to the natural. Oh god, these are dead, is what these are. There's +1 Zealots already taking out these Lings. Where are the Hydralisks from earlier? They're at the 3rd! They're running back home with these Queens!
I wouldn't call the Queens running, but I can definitely see...
Well, they're fat people running, I guess, if, however you want to call it, but... Yeah, I like the drone transfers. He keeps a lot alive. That could have been much, much worse, but rsvp gets 21 workers killed so far, and that Dark Templar's got 14 kills from cleaning out that 3rd. So, I mean, economic damage has been dealt. A good response out of rsvp, and And the biggest thing was he cleaned up the Mutalisk. There's no more pressure of a counterattack, and he actually, Zelnaga warps out, or not Zelnaga, Cadrian Crystal warps out the Zealots to bring them home. This is not something we often see used in Starbow, because the cooldown on it sucks, or not the cooldown, the reload time or whatever for the Zealots to become active again.
And man, that was just very, very well decision making from rsvp. Like you said, you know, Muta's in my base, these Zealots are going to be useless. Let's have some use of them and go and attack my opponent. And that was just perfect reaction from rsvp.
Oh,
really interesting.
It's gonna go back for more.
But it was very unfortunate.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. It was very unfortunate for Deathblood though to lose that many Mutalisk to that Archon. I think he could have done a lot of more damage with those Mutalisk if he had paid more attention.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Mutalisk were the key thing. But again, like keep this VT alive, guys. This is a Dark Template early on, could have been picked off very easily had Deathblood chose, or sorry, rsvp chosen to be greedy, but. Now he's got a sizable army. He's got enough Blinkstalkers to actually contend with these Mutalisks. Even though new ones were made, it's still not a snowbally large amount.
Oh, it's gonna try and pick up some drones. It's gonna get a couple. I mean probes, but that floating cannon. Oh, even more floating cannons is there.
Counterattack across the map. Deathblood just has no army supply right now. Like, what has he been doing behind this? He's got no Hydralisks to speak of. The Mutalisks are across the map, but these Blinkstalkers are gonna make quick work of the Queens as well as the Hydralisks. Blinks out aggressively, very forward. There's some Zealots still getting into the mix. This is not looking good for Deathblood. He's bringing the Mutalisk back home, but I don't even think these can save him.
I mean, now finally the High Templars are coming, but there's nothing left to storm. rsvp is just cleaning up with just gateway units.
This is looking pretty nasty.
Good job, okay. I was trying to storm the Mutalisk. The Mutalisk, I guess, is the only hope left because he only has a couple of Stalkers, but oh, he eats a lot of that storm. Yeah, and there's an Archon.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, rsvp evens it up now 2-2, and this will take us to the match